Luna Gale is a baby who's born to two teenage meth addicts who bring her into a hospital because the baby is sick. My character, Caroline, is a social worker who meets these two teenage parents in the hospital with the baby and has to make a decision about what to do to help this child.
Caroline quickly assesses their condition and sets into process the baby being taken away. The baby then finds itself in kinship care with the teenage girl's mother, Cindy, who wants full adoption rights to the child.
And after she's done this, she sort of realizes, as she gets to know the grandmother better, that she might have made a mistake.
The character also comes face to face with some of her own prejudices and biases, and at a certain point she makes some questionable decisions.
In terms of meth, what I sort of already knew, and the reason I was drawn to it as the drug of choice for my play, is that it's a really cheap drug, and it's taken a lot by working people who just need to be able to stay awake and work longer. That's the initial impulse for a lot of people to take it. And it's a Midwestern drug, and it's a rural drug.
I think all of a sudden you start to see yourself in these two young users, and you can imagine the steps that it would take to be in that situation. And then all of a sudden you have a different sort of empathy for that experience.
Nobody gets up in the morning and decides that they want meth to wreak havoc on their lives. It's because of reasons,
These are people that haven't been using that long. They're at that beginning place where they could fall off the deep end, or they could redirect now and things could turn out completely different.
The Department of Human Services or Department of Child Services and Foster Care, it's always chronically underfunded, and the people who work in it get burned out so quickly that it doesn't provide the sort of social safety net that it's meant to provide. I also feel like it's sadly the only sort of policy that our country or our system has in place to take care of the most vulnerable people in our population.
I doubt that there's a social worker on this earth who doesn't take that very seriously. It's an awesome responsibility. I think it's extraordinary that anybody would want to take that responsibility on. Thank God that there are people who will take that on.
Rebecca really is a favorite playwright of mine. I admire, first and foremost, I think her moral stance, that she's an extremely moral writer who's unafraid of saying complicated things. She creates very, very rich, very complicated, very full characters, and is a master at telling a story that brings together the epic as well as the personal.
I think that people are going to be watching Caroline's decision-making process. She knows the rules, she knows how to bend them, and I think that that's going to be part of what's interesting and delicious for the audience, is to think about, well, what would I do in that situation myself? I think it's a really good question. What would you do?